The second E, economic prosperity. At the root of Agenda 21's economics are public-private partnerships pulled together into a government-driven economy called corporatism. It is not capitalism or free markets, though it may have some of the trappings. The marketplace is still there, but ultimately corporatism does not trust the marketplace to do what the elites want done. The partnerships allow for special tax breaks, access to land for some developers but not for others, non-compete clauses in government projects that guarantee profits, access to grants and lucrative special government projects, and much more. Under public-private partnerships, there is a guarantee of protection and profits. Corporations that play ball get the power of government, and government gets to hide behind the independence of private business. Thus, the partnerships between corporations and government is done at the expense of ordinary people, the exact opposite effect of free markets controlled by consumers. This is the new way business is being run in America under sustainable development. The business plan of the day: lobby for regulations. They argue that it's good for the economy, creating jobs by destroying things from the past. They say it's good for the economy to enforce regulations to make people buy things they didn't need before. Well, it's certainly not free enterprise or open markets. The true description is government-sanctioned monopolies, right out of the Mussolini fascist playbook. And the third E, ecological integrity. Well, that's just the excuse for the rest of it. To understand the power of transformation, the transformation of our society under sustainable development, consider this quote from the UN's Biodiversity Treaty, which was introduced at the same 1992 Earth Summit. Quote, "Nature has an integral set of different values, cultural, spiritual, and material. For humans are one strand in nature's web, and all living creatures are considered equal. Therefore, the natural way is the right way, and human activity should be molded along nature's rhythms." End quote. This quote lays down the ground rules for the entire sustainable development agenda. It says humans are nothing special. Just one strand in the nature of things, or put another way, humans are simply a biological resource. Sustainablest policy interprets any action that man takes as a direct threat to the environment. This is necessary, sustainabilists say, because humans only defile nature. In other words, sustainabilists view man as nothing more than a swarm of locusts which swoops down on nature and sucks it clean until there's nothing left. Nothing good comes from man, according to sustainabilist doctrine. And private property ownership and control is the main target of sustainable development. Consider this quote from the report of the 1976 UN's Habitat 1 conference, which said, quote, "Land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset controlled by individuals and subject to the pressures and inefficiencies of the market. Private land ownership is also a principal instrument of accumulation and concentration of wealth, and therefore contributes to social injustice." The fact is, Agenda 21 is a blueprint to completely change our society to a top-down planned central economy in a strange mixture of socialism, fascism, and corporatism. But to convince Americans to accept it required something that would get us to sacrifice our natural rights voluntarily. The answer? Environmental Armageddon. You must sacrifice freedom to protect the planet. It's urgent, we're told. Do you doubt that? Then consider this quote by Alexander King, co-founder of the Club of Rome. He said, quote, "In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. All of these dangers are caused by human intervention. The real enemy then is humanity. End quote. So, the urgency's on. Global warming is feeding the hysteria. There's no time to consider things like individual concerns and wants and needs. Selfish, cries the sustainabilist. We must save the environment. Go green. Get out of your cars. Stop using energy. Sacrifice. Cut your carbon footprint or perish. And so, federal and state governments working hand in hand with a horde of non-governmental organizations, private groups with personal political agendas, forced passage of rules and regulations passed down to local communities. But, say your local officials, none of that UN socialist stuff is true. Just conspiracy theories by right-wing radicals. We're just creating the tools necessary in a local effort to manage growth and development for our community, they say. Have you heard these denials? Then consider this quote by J. Gary Lawrence, a planner from the city of Seattle and advisor to the President's Council for Sustainable Development. He said, quote, participating in a UN-advocated planning process would very likely bring out many who would actively work to defeat any elected official undertaking Local Agenda 21. So, we will call our process something else, such as comprehensive planning, growth management, or smart growth. Local indeed. Sustainable development is the process by which America is being reorganized around the central principle of state collectivism using the environment as bait. This is a political movement led by those who seek to control the world economy, dictate development, and redistribute the world's wealth. They use the philosophical base of Karl Marx, the tactics of Adolf Hitler, and the rhetoric of the Sierra Club. Everything connected with sustainable development translates to higher costs, shortages, and sacrifice. The best way to understand what sustainable development actually is can be found by discovering what they considered not to be sustainable. Maurice Strong, mentioned earlier, the Secretary General of the Earth Summit said, quote, current lifestyles and consumption patterns of the affluent middle class involving high meat intake, use of fossil fuels, appliances, home and work air conditioning, and suburban housing are not sustainable. If it's not sustainable, that means they don't want you to have it.